As the New York Jets figure to be sellers at the trade deadline coming up in a couple of weeks, multiple sources, Jordan Schultz and the Jets' own beat via Connor Hughes, is reporting that the New York Jets are making outgoing calls on defensive end Jermaine Johnson. That was the phrase, and they're making outgoing calls. So that's a little bit different than just people's random guesses in terms of who might, could, sort of, maybe are available. That was interesting, and that was via their Flight Deck podcast with Zach Rosenblatt and Connor Hughes. He listed according to his sources, the trade values of the following players that could be traded by the New York Jets at the deadline. He says Quinnen Williams, it is allegedly worth a second round pick, according to his source. Jermaine Johnson, third round pick. Will McDonald, day 2 pick, either second or third. Breece Hall, fifth round pick. And then Michael Carter, the second. And Quincy Williams, day 3 picks. Again, making a note that the Jets are indeed making outgoing calls on edge Jermaine Johnson. Trade Jermaine Johnson for a third, I dare you, because you're on thin ice with a lot of your fan base, Woody Johnson. And it feels random for a Jermaine Johnson being traded for a third round pick to be a breaking point. But it might be. It might be. I mean, explain that to me like I'm 5 years old. Jermaine Johnson for a third rounder. Now, obviously, two different things here. The source for Connor Hughes on the trade value is making an educated guess. But he is saying a team source he knows is they're making outgoing calls on Jermaine Johnson. So that's what the beat is reporting. They're not always right, but it's better than our random speculation in terms of information. Man, so guys like Michael Carter, Quincy, Breece, guys on Michael Carter is just, he looks completely done in terms of his health. I think the Jets would have to eat most of whatever's left on his contract, and you got like a 7th round pick. I can't imagine Michael Carter having much trade value at this point. Breece Hall, we've talked about it a million times. If he doesn't want to be here long term and you're not planning on resigning him, then maybe you just trade for what you can get now. Obviously, the comp pick formula isn't guaranteed, and it's deferred another year for that draft capital. So yeah, Breece, Quincy, MC2, I wouldn't lose sleep over it. But Quinn and Jermaine and Will McDonald, if you trade like 2 of those guys, or even like one, you're I don't know, man. Like let's say you take these values, you trade Quinnen for a 2nd round pick and Jermaine for a 3rd round pick. You're saying you're going to suck next year too. Oh well, we lost with them, we can lose without them. I mean, that mentality for like old players, fine, but not for guys who are whatever they are, 27 years old. And defensive line isn't corner. It's not running back. You don't turn 29 and a half years old and you're fried. Jermaine Johnson and Quinnen Williams can be good until they're 32. And Jermaine Johnson and Quinnen Williams are guys that you build culture around. Like Jermaine, and dude, I don't care what Jermaine's stats are. I know he's not an all pro edge by any means. The defense is night and day different when he's on the field. Night and day. His on-off the field splits it's like second to like Micah Parsons and Max Crosby. His on-off splits, the difference it makes for his defense. I wouldn't get that. Quinnen, you're not getting, you got to get a 1. You're going to trade Quinnen Williams, you're not going to get a 1st round pick. That to me would be crazy. Will McDonald, and another thing about Will and JJ, I think you'd be parting with them when their value is low. Why did Will McDonald get 10 sacks last year and had 70 pressures? He's regressing. He's regressing with this turnover. So I would hang on to Will and JJ, because let's see if Will can heat up and get 5-6 sacks down the stretch, and then at least you can make that. At least now you have a higher value asset if you do want to trade these guys. Same with Jermaine, because Jermaine missed an entire year with an Achilles tear, and he's missed half of this season with an ankle injury. So let Jermaine finish the rest of these games healthy. Then if he does, again, you have a bigger sample size to make your decision, and you have a more valuable asset if you do want to go ahead and trade him, and you're going to have more trade partners because more teams are going to be willing to wheel and deal in an offseason instead of at a deadline. So those 3 defensive linemen, I would not personally want the Jets to trade. Now, everybody has a price. If somebody offers a first-round pick for Will McDonald, then he's got to go because he still can't play the run, and he's 26 years old. It is what it is. But I'm not giving away Will McDonald for a mid-round pick. I'm not giving away Jermaine for a third-round pick. To me. In other news, I'm sure that you saw Woody Johnson could not help himself today. He pretty much said that Justin Fields does not have the makings of a varsity athlete. He pretty much went full Uncle Junior, which if you've been watching Woody, he is in season 6 of Uncle Junior now mode, full blown. And he said, he said Justin Fields is like, when you have a quarterback whose rating is where he's at, a lot of coaches would have the same record as we do now with Aaron Glenn. And yeah, obviously, if you don't have Justin Fields, I think, does now officially have the worst winning percentage of a quarterback who has as many starts as he's had in like NFL history. So fair enough, that's true. But I mean, at least all the other coaches that had him at least won one game. So let's at least wait till we win one game before we start making a proclamation that it's mathematically impossible to win a game with Justin Fields. And Tyrod Taylor has played what? 6 quarters for you as well? Is it impossible to win a game with him too? I don't know, man. But it's very a strange juxtaposition between Aaron Glenn going to bat for Justin Fields, which has kind of been just his standard operating procedure since he took over and since they signed Fields, saying, people don't understand him like they do Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And then the owner comes in and says, no, he's terrible. And now, I don't even know if it's been reported. I'm assuming there's no shot he's going to start for the Jets on Sunday. I haven't even seen if that's been reported, but I can't imagine he is starting for the Jets. I don't even know if he starts for the Jets again. Like, they might activate Brady Cook after the bye. That's unreal. Yeah, man. Look, the expiring contracts, I get it, but it's just, I don't know. Again, it makes me, I just really, man, hopefully this is all just rumors, man. Hopefully this is all just rumors. But JJ did tweet out something to the effect of, you keep grinding, and something's got to break eventually, right? So he's frustrated, but it's not a trade request. He's just bummed out. He worked his ass off to come back, and the team sucks. And the team doesn't suck because of him. The team doesn't suck because of Quinnen Williams. And if they're going to do that, if they're going to strip this down to the studs, then their messaging needed to be different at the beginning of the year. And you can't keep saying that you're not allowed to say the team is going to suck. We could walk and chew gum at the same time. You could be tactful in how you deliver the message. You don't have to say that you're here to win now. You don't have to unequivocally deny the rebuild. There's a lot of words in the English language you could use to navigate that situation without directly lying to your fan base. If this was in fact the plan, because now that's what people are telling me, bro. This was a 3-year plan. They were always going to suck for like 2 years. And there's levels to it. Don't the bad faith arguments start to frustrate you a little bit, because people will say like Rome wasn't built in a day, and you want instant coffee, you millennial, have a little patience. It's not Darren Muji's fault that it was. It's like, yeah, we agree with all that, but you sit down and you look at your TV on Sunday this year, and you're like, oh my God. Like, but that's my retort to those people. I'm like, I agree with you. I get it. They're like, live, laugh, love, and whatever. They're like just random platitudes. Trust the process. Don't be impatient. I'm like, I get it, but look at the team. Look what the team is doing. Look what's happening. Look at they're 0-7. They can't figure out when to go for it. They can't put a punt returner back there who's Who knows the rules? You see, Isaiah Williams cost the team like 25 yards on a power return. So, man, like, okay, when is the line in the sand where at least you look like a normal bad team? Are we going to be like the worst team in the NFL 2 years in a row? Is that part of the plan? That's crazy. Then why did they even sign anyone? They could have not signed Fields and not signed Stevens and not signed Sherwood and had like 3 additional comp picks and the most salary cap space in NFL history. They should have just done that. If it was a full 2-year, a double tank, not the double doink. Are we going to do a double tank? Because that's if they trade a couple of those defensive linemen, we're doing a double tank. I would prefer not to do a double tank. One tank is bad enough. No double tanking. But we'll see. We shall see what happens. JJ has the 5th-year option, so I think next year his salary is like $15 million or something, which that's not bad for a good edge. It's not bad. Yeah, yeah, the saying typically goes like a lot of times for a player. Like when I watched Lenoris Sellers, I'm like, Lenoris Sellers is a year away from being a year away. But now, are we 2 years away from being 2 years away? Now maybe it'll work out. You could tell me it could work out. You could say a lot of teams started bad, coaches started bad, Dan Campbell, Kyle Shanahan, it could work out. Of course it could work out. Glenn and Muji can figure this thing out. It's totally possible. I don't want to and I think I speak for a lot of us. Do I speak for a lot of us? Let me know. Are you sick of being gaslit about this football team? Can we at least agree upon that? We could fight about the fields and quarterback and how much time Glenn should have and whose fault it is for that. It's all Woody's fault anyway, and us for still being mentally ill enough to be here doing this. But it's the gaslighting that kind of drives you crazy, where it's like, dude, let's just all admit this team is way more terrible than even our most modest of predictions. When I did my preseason prediction, I said, I'll slap a 6.5 win total on this team. That's bad. That's very bad. That's like negative. And now it's like, oh my gosh, 6.5 wins. I was delusionally optimistic. Right? But yeah, because and if you would have said they're going to be owing $1 million, if anyone would have said that, if you would have tweeted that out, if I would have said it, if Colin Cowherd, anyone with a big platform, with a small YouTube channel, with a burner account on Twitter, if anyone would have said that, the off-season bros would have got you, man. They would have got you. And they would have said, man, you don't know we got Stone Smart, bro? Look at this casual. You don't know we got Stone Smart, man. You see Braylon Allen? You see how yoked Braylon Allen is? Yeah, he averages like 3.2 yards a carry. Nobody cares. Nobody in the NFL is scared of Braylon Allen. Okay. They're scared of Bijan Robinson, not because he's 250 pounds, but because they're scared of Jahmyr Gibbs, because he's going to put their ass on a highlight reel and cost them U.S. currency. That's what you guys are scared. No one's scared of Michael Clemens. They're more scared of Will McDonald because they'll put him in a spin cycle and put bad film on them. Nobody cares. That's what it would have been the response, and now it happens, and it's like it's supposed to be part of the plan. Drives me nuts. But here we are, and all we can do is live with where we're at, man, and hope they don't trade Jermaine Johnson for a 3rd-round pick. Super chat from Hex, appreciate it, man. If they trade Q, Will, or JJ, I'm done with the staff, and incompetence will be confirmed. Hire a new head coach next year. Well, it'll let's see, because if they do a full fire sale, like let's say they trade all 5 of those guys, which is highly unlikely, then that is something that definitely came from ownership, right? Where Woody is like, ship them all out, get everything you can. Because it just seems so unlikely that a new staff would just decide to completely get rid of any talent they have. Now, if they trade just 1 or 2 of those guys, then maybe that's just the staff not liking them. And if one of those decisions is Jermaine Johnson, yeah, I think people have the right to question that. If they trade Jermaine Johnson and the return is a 3rd, what are we going to do? Are we going to draft another backup to Brandon Stevens to make sure we have double Brandon Stevens insurance with our new 3rd round pick. My goodness, man. Yeah, I wasn't even going to do a show tonight, and I heard that because I wasn't going to do a whole show on what Woody said. I'm like, who cares? It's the same every time. It is kind of entertaining. I won't lie. Like when Woody talks, it is kind of, if nothing else, it is kind of funny. But he's so dumb that Woody is a great poster child for taxing the rich. I don't care. You can call me woke. He should be heavily taxed. Are you kidding me? It's the free market, bro. All right, man. That's all fake. Everything it's all fake. All your jobs are fake. It's not real. It's not made up. We all go to work. Half of us, you put in a freaking thing into a spreadsheet, and the market decides that's worth $87,000 a year. It's not real. It's not real. So enough. So Woody Johnson should be taxed. And that money should be given to preferably me, to be honest. Definitely me, I would say, for starters. But then after that, some other people can get it too. That would be my my proposition. My proposal. So Woody Johnson should be taxed heavily, 90%. And Jermaine Johnson should not be traded for a 3rd round pick. And that is where I'm at on the matter. Woody Johnson also thanks, Chris CB, man. Good to see you as always, brother. Yeah, you're right, Timothy. That's what I'm saying. Woody Johnson also went out of his way to tell us, hey, man, they're going to get 2 years. He says he hugs Aaron Glenn every week, and he believes in Aaron, and that there's a plan, and that real smart Jet fans understand the plan. I guess I'm not in the camp of real smart Jet fans because I don't exactly understand the plan. Now it seems like part of the plan is to get a top 3 pick and draft a quarterback. That's part of it. Clearly, that seems like it's part of it, but we'll see what the rest of the plan is as it unfolds. But yeah, they're Muji and Glenn they're almost assuredly going to be here next year. I don't know, unless Muji gets a DWI or something. Even then, that's not really a deal breaker in the NFL. Who are we kidding? So they're going to be back. They are going to be back, as it seems right now. Which, whatever. Do you think we hired the 33rd team to pick our quarterback? See, here's what I found out yesterday. The 33rd team was actually an early power ranking for the Jets. They actually was like, oh, we're going to make you the 33rd best team in the NFL. And it's like, oh, that's what it was. Damn. It's not what we thought. Only a true Jet fan would not lose hope. Yeah, that is emotional manipulation, right? If you love me, you'll stay. That is what Woody is saying. That's not cool. Yeah, and then Mike Tannenbaum was part of it. It's so weird, man. Again, going 2-16 or 0-17, be part of any plan. That's what people will tell you, man. Some of us. But I don't think it should be part of the plan. That sounds like a suboptimal plan. Because what is the record supposed to be next year? What is the threshold for next year? How many wins can we expect? The average Jet fan severely overrates their own players. I mean, a lot of them. Like, I mean, but most of it we've come to terms with. Like, Reese was overrated. I don't know who else. Like, I mean, they're probably all slightly overrated. I think Olu is overrated. Because it was just assumed he was like DeBrickashaw Ferguson, and I'm like, I haven't quite seen that yet. He's still young. Um, Sauce to me though, because I can't say Sauce is overrated because so many people think he's completely trash. So how can you be overrated when all people say is that you're overrated? That's not how that works. If everyone says you're overrated, you can't be overrated by definition. Coming into the year, I guess Fields is overrated because we thought that might be able to, like, I don't know, score 19 points a game with him. I don't think Jermaine Johnson is over. Jermaine Johnson for a third round pick. I mean, okay. Did he say Madden rating? Because he said a quarterback with the rating that we have. So I don't know if he meant passer rating. I don't know if he meant Madden rating. As a Panthers fan, you have a great D line and Sauce is clamping T-Mac. Our D line is okay. It used to be great. A couple of years ago, 2022 and 2023, it was a great defensive line because it just had so much depth and so much skill variance. Now it's not really because you got Quinnen, JJ, and Will, who that's like a nice trio. But I don't know. Like the defense and the coverage doesn't hold up long enough. But and Jermaine and Will were not really getting after Bryce Young that much. I know it's an all right defensive line. Yeah, if we complete a pass, it would be good. These guys are off to the worst start, realistically. Well, mathematically, they are off to as bad of a start as you could be in terms of they haven't won a game. I'm going to freak out with WJ comments and a JJ trade. Oh, Woody Johnson comments. Yeah, I mean, and there was so I don't know if you guys are on social media, there's Ricky Scoops, right? The sources guy, the guy with like the dog picture. And he pops up on Twitter every now and then. And he's been doing it a couple years. And he's gotten, I mean, dozens of nailed scoops. Micah Parsons trade, he was on it. Micah Parsons to Green Bay, he was on it. And like some of the terms, he said like Micah Parsons for 2 first-round picks and a defensive tackle going back to Green Bay like 48 hours before it. Schefter and them got it. It's like a running bit on Twitter that he beats Schefter and Rappaport and all them. And he's right like 75% of the time. And he did post today that the Jets are shopping Jermaine Johnson. That's not a source. That's if I was a reporter, I would get like fired if I put that in my article or whatever. But that's what Ricky Scoop said. And that's what Jordan Schultz said. And this is what Connor Hughes said. So either all these guys are getting the same incorrect information or there is some smoke to the Jermaine Johnson fire. The Jets should have a tariff. Yeah, they should, man. I agree. Olu took a step back. Yeah, and he yeah, and I saw like the analytics drop like right after the morning of the game, and you see, and it's like, oh, Olu had a pretty good game. I already watched it. Olu's taken too many L's in pass pro. He just is. Like he just is. I mean, that doesn't mean he's a bust. It doesn't mean he's terrible. He's just taking L's. And Will McDonald, like that, those are your last 2 first-round picks. You think you want a little more out of McDonald than Olu because you didn't freaking take JSN, which Rich Cimini said. I remember Rich Cimini said on Will Parkinson's podcast that the Jets' former front office did not have a first-round grade on Jackson Smith and Jigba because they thought he was too slow. And now he's like a top 3 receiver in the NFL. catching passes from the quarterback that same front office thought Zach Wilson would be better than. Oh, it's a cycle of pain. But yeah, obviously, and then Olu, that was an ungodly stacked draft. So you want him to obviously develop into a pretty damn good left tackle because dude, you could get Jared Verse, an elite edge. You could get Brock Bowers, an elite pass catcher. Like, so you want him to be good. Hopefully he will be. But I think that we're starting to lean into that because Fields holds the ball so long, which he does. We're starting to, I think, assume that our offensive line is perfect and any sack or pressure is a result of Fields. I think there's been a mild regression along the line. Like, I think Simpson, a little bit of a regression back to what he was his last year at Baltimore, like still decent. Olu, a little bit of a regression. Tippmann has been very volatile. Timmons been awesome in the run. He's been a lot more volatile than he was in pass pro last year, in my opinion. Olu, besides some penalties racking up, or I'm sorry, Membu, besides some penalties racking up, Membu, ironically for a rookie, he's been the most steady. Like, you're waiting for him to have that rookie game where he gets his ass kicked for 4 quarters. It hasn't happened. He did have the one game where he had 3 penalties. So that's obviously a bad game because you cost your team whatever, 25 yards. But you're waiting for that game where he's just getting beat left and right by a really good edge rusher, and it just hasn't happened with Membu. Membu's been a stud. And you know what? Myers has been played way above my expectations. So it's kind of been the opposite of what I thought. Because heading into the year, once AVT got hurt, you're thinking, okay, the question marks are Myers and the rookie. And those have been the guys who have played the best relative to at least my beginning of the year expectations. Trade Simpson, I mean, again, that's a good call because he is on an expiring contract. So that's another one. If you don't plan on re-signing him, okay, but then you would need a new guard next year, right? So I could go either way. I'm not married to John Simpson. Yeah. Anyway, we can be a success next year if we only replace one of London or Engstrand. I don't think there's going to be like a ton of shakeups like that. Like, if they're keeping the top guys, they're probably going to keep their guys. I mean, Steve Wilkes' defense has buttoned it up the past couple of weeks, so we'll see how that goes. They've been better. Yeah, I mean, I think Charles London as the QB coach. How do we know if we have a good QB coach? I don't know. You want somebody who has a resume of developing a quarterback, but it's like, bro, somebody who has like an established resume of quarterback development is probably going to be an offensive coordinator or a head coach, right? You're not going to get like, oh shit, we got Sean Payton as our QB coach. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard. Don't we have a Turner on the staff? Don't we have Scott Turner? Did I imagine that we hired Scott Turner? I thought we did. Scott Turner is the pass game coordinator for the New York Jets. Okay, so we do have Scott Turner. So he's kind of the mentor of the offense, right? I don't know. I really think, guys, let's be honest. How many times have the Jets hired like a niche role staff specialist? Remember the Saleh, the game management specialist? He's gonna like whisper in Robert Saleh's ear when it's time to take a timeout or throw a challenge or whatever. And our game analytics strategists, like, I don't know. It just hardly ever. It's like, dude, owner, GM, head coach, your coordinators. Because all the other stuff, it'll trickle out from there. If those spots are good, you'll be good. If those spots are not good, having the assistant to the regional offensive manager is not going to make a difference. I used to do videos when they hired, I don't even do it anymore. When they hire like, oh, this guy was analytic strategist at Northwestern, and now he's going to help change the Jets' offense. Like, I just can't do it anymore, man. Tua has been dreadful this year. Tua, you could honestly argue, like, Tua at his worst this year has been worse than Fields, because Tua at his worst is like throwing 4 picks. Woody's comments on Justin Fields showcase his frustration on paying and getting no productivity. If the Jets finish 2-15, Woody will not hold back, and Glenn may be let go. There's no way to know, man. There's no way to know. I mean, clearly the messaging right now is one of patience from ownership, which, yeah, what else is he going to say in October? I have no idea what Woody Johnson is going to do. I mean, I was stunned when he pulled the plug on Saleh week 5 last year. I was genuinely stunned. So obviously they're not going to fire these guys they're not going to fire anybody in season during your first season. You have to like commit a crime to have that happen. And what Nate Hackett did was a crime, so that counts. Nate Hackett in Denver, my God, could even get a playoff. So we'll see. Mike McDaniel. Oh, Mike McDaniel as an offensive coordinator. Look, here's the thing. In my opinion, we as football fans, we way underrate experience in coaches, and because obviously if a coach is available, their experience is going to be imperfect, right? Like Sean McVay is not available, right? Kevin O'Connell is not available. Kyle Shanahan is not available. Mike Tomlin is not available. So if they're available, their resume is going to have spots on it, and we always love the great unknown. It could be anything. This shiny, untouched coach, because now he has no slate. So I get to imagine how perfect he is. Mike McDaniel would be a more than adequate offensive coordinator hire. He's done the job before. And I think it's like, if you've had head coaching experience, that probably helps too. He's been to the playoffs as a head coach. He took Tua, who looks like he sucks, and they had the best offense in the NFL multiple years. He had Tua putting up all pro numbers. Mike McDaniel, you know who Mike McDaniel is? Mike McDaniel is Mike D'Antoni. Remember Mike D'Antoni? Man, he could inflate some numbers. You could make Raymond Felton look like, Isaiah Thomas, right? At least on the stat sheet. Now, couldn't get over the hump in the playoffs. He is the Mike D'Antoni of offensive minds in the NFL. I'll take him. I'll take Mike McDaniel as my OC. He'll get a job in 5 seconds as an offensive coordinator. He probably won't even answer the phone for the Jets. He'll have his options. Sort of like Cliff Kingsbury in that way. Right? Wasn't cut out to be a head coach, but I'm sure the Commanders are happy they got Cliff as their OC. Yeah, Mike McCarthy. Now, I'm not even talking about McCarthy now, because we already made that. We already passed Mike McCarthy twice. We have a head coach right now. His name is Aaron Glenn. Now, they didn't want him when they went with Gase. Wasn't that the case, right? Wasn't McCarthy in that cycle, I believe? And even this past year, I'm like, hey, they should interview Mike McCarthy. And people say, no, are you kidding me? Like, he's trash. He can never win the playoff game. And I said, what game? What game was that? Oh, games that happen after the regular season is over. Some teams still okay. I would be interested to see that. And then if we get packed up unceremoniously because Mike McCarthy's doing a poor game management decision in the playoffs, then so be it. This franchise needs to get on base. They need to get on base. That's why I think like now Muji, whatever. I have no gripes with him. I think his offseason was okay. How do you judge a draft yet? We don't know, but I think there's some encouraging things from the draft. But you got a guy like Thomas Dimitrov who's right there, and it's like, bro, like the guy built a Super Bowl team. He's done it before. So like a Dimitrov McCarthy pairing to me this past offseason, professionals who know what they're doing. They're going to avoid big glaring rookie mistakes, get us on base, have us on track to being a normal team. But Woody Johnson never will do that. He'll never do that. He's always going to go with guys who are green because he wants the satisfaction of saying, I found the guy. I found Aaron Glenn, and he's my Bill Parcells. And even if he turns it around, it's because I found him. Not some recycled guy who's already been to the playoffs, not somebody who's going to push back and at the way I want this team to go. That's how it goes. That's how it goes, Woody Johnson. McCarthy's scheme is stuck in. Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm not. Look, it is what it is. He's obviously not in the NFL anymore. I'm not. I'm over it. I do know that in 2023, the Dallas Cowboys had the best. They led the NFL in points per game, and Dak Prescott, his quarterback, made an All-Pro team. And with Cooper Rush, his team won more games than ours did with Aaron Rodgers. So, and right now we're 0-7, and we can't even sniff the end zone. So, sure, sure. Mike McCarthy's not Sean McVay. I get it. I get it. Where is Aaron Glenn's offensive scheme from? What year is what we're running now from? That's what I want to know. I have to go further back than 2009. A 2009 offense to showing that to a Jet fan right now would be like showing an iPhone to a caveman. I would pine for that. But yeah, I mean, it's what's done is done. We're running the 1930s offense. Yeah. Woody wants a yes man and AG. Yeah, I think you're right, but I don't even know. AG doesn't really strike me as a yes man. AG is like very disagreeable. So I don't really know if he's a yes man, but Woody really likes him. Clearly they have a good relationship. Yeah, 1956 Oklahoma Wishbone. Yeah. Yeah, it's like because when they made all the ads, you're like, okay, what's the ceiling of this offense and what's the floor? And it feels like all the bad variables have happened, and now it's like just the floor. It's like, damn it. We don't even get, you know what's weird? We don't even get like Justin Fields highlight runs. We don't even get like those because Justin Fields, nothing like he's not good, but he's put on an entertaining display, even in some losses in Chicago. Like that his second year, he ran for like 1,100 yards or something, the second most the quarterback has run for. Where's that? Where is that? That's at least like kind of fun to watch. I mean, he said he was feeling better. He was a little banged up, but like we've turned Justin Fields into Zach Wilson. We've taken away his legs and we haven't improved his passing at all. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, where's the legs at, man? Is that his confidence or what's going on? There are rumors that the Jets are making outgoing calls on Jermaine Johnson per Jordan Schultz and Connor Hughes. No official trades or anything yet. That is the word on the street. You lose a second for JJ. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. BBDT says, I'm not at the point of wanting to get rid of Glenn yet. Made a bad choice at QB. It happens all the time. Yeah, it's fair. The offensive play calls are bad, though. Justin Fields isn't a pocket QB. Yeah, however it went with Fields, like what the Jets did in 2026 at quarterback was always going to decide the fate of this regime. It is unfortunate that it's like the worst possible outcome for Fields because it's like is he even going to play for the team again? Through 6 games, a 2-year deal is done. That's kind of crazy. 7 games, whatever it is. But like let's be honest, we knew that drafting a quarterback in 2026 was kind of going to be the thing. And now how that goes will depend how this regime goes. We need a better word for regime. I don't like saying the word regime. What's a better word? This Let me look up synonyms for regime. I don't like that word. It doesn't roll off the tongue nicely. Administration, that's too formal. I'm not seeing what I like. Management? I don't know. The brain trust, the cabinet, the era. The era. This brain trust. I kind of like brain trust. I think I'm going to go with that. Circus. Circus. What the hell are we talking about? I forgot your comment. Oh, yeah. The offensive play calls are bad. Justin Fields isn't a pocket QB. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little bit of a cop out. Now, look, you can't say, oh my gosh, this was their big quarterback investment and it didn't work. So this brain trust is toast, right? Because it's not like the first overall pick. If the first overall pick flops, then they're done. Then obviously they're fired. But Fields, it's not that extent of an investment. However, it wasn't nothing. You know, you're going to be paying him $20 million or whatever to not be on your team next year of dead money. So that's kind of a bummer. It's not nothing. And if they made him better, even moderately, like Mike Tomlin and the Steelers made Fields moderately better. They didn't reinvent him. Let's be honest. That team was winning games because of defense and because Mike Tomlin went 15-10 with Kenny freaking Pickett. You could give Mike Tomlin like Zach Wilson, and he'd probably still tread 500. It's just like it's like a law of nature. It's just how it goes. And I think if he had a really good QB, he would regress to the same. He's gonna just always be like, I don't know, 8 to whatever wins. Because even those Steeler teams with Big Ben and Brown and Le'Veon kind of underperformed a little bit, to be honest. But whatever. So let's not pretend like Justin Fields was some amazing player in Pittsburgh and now the Jets have ruined him. But the Steelers still got credit for like, oh, you kind of made Fields playable and you could be competitive with him. And if the Jets were able to maintain that or even moderately improve upon that, they would be getting credit. I would be giving them credit. So for Fields to completely bottom out, to have completely lost confidence, to not even be giving you the running he used to give you, he's going to be he's career low in rush yards per game. He's going to be like second lowest completion percentage, the lowest yards per attempt, second lowest QBR. I mean, second lowest EPA per dropback out of his 5 years. So I don't know. And then Woody Johnson is like, well, any coach would have the same record with Justin Fields. And it's like, well, dude, didn't like a terrible coaching staff still win? Like, how many games did they win his last year in Chicago? What, didn't they win like 6 games or whatever his last year in Chicago? Shall we see? All right, he was 5-8 in 2023. So between 2023 and 2024, Justin Fields was 9-10. So that's clearly not accurate that anybody would lose every game with Justin Fields. It was well, how do you expect them to win with no QB? It's like, dude, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. Nobody expected the Chicago Bears to be great with Justin Fields in 2023, but they were 5-8. They were normal bad. Right now, the Jets are much more than normal bad. We are very bad. We need to improve to normal bad. Yeah, Matt O'Leary is going to play a game at quarterback for this team. I bet you. Thing that has me concerned about AG is game management and game planning. I deal with the team being sucky, but the process has been bad. Yeah. It's somebody made a comment, and I want to find it because they put it very, very well, but I will paraphrase. They said that the Jets for a really long time, basically what they said was for the Jets for a really long time, are just always at a constant disadvantage of strategy and preparation. They're at a strategic and preparation disadvantage for years, the whole playoff drought. In addition to their bad quarterback play, they're at a strategic and preparation disadvantage. And I'm like, and I think that's better than just saying coaching, because coaching feels personal. Like, leave Aaron Glenn alone. Engstrand is just a baby. Let him cook. But when you look at the Jets, you're like, yeah, they're at a preparation and strategic disadvantage, right? Like, you know what that means. You watch the games, you're like, yeah, that checks. They are. And hopefully they can not be soon. Especially on the offensive side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, they've been at such a strategic and preparation disadvantage. And you look at now, if you look at like even when they had Rodgers and he's here, and it's like he's not doing good at all. The passing offense is one of the worst in the NFL. The rushing offense is dead last. And you go to Pittsburgh, and yeah, I'm not trying to say, oh my gosh, we would have freaking been amazing with Aaron. That's not the point of it at all. Like the Steelers, that's what they are every year. That's not what I'm saying. But what the Steelers, part of the reason why they're like that every year is like their offense has figured out, like, you know what? Aaron can't quite extend plays like he used to against a good defense, right? Against Cincinnati, he could, because with that, that's going to be a funny matchup, by the way. If Cincinnati doesn't have Trey Hendrickson, their anemic pass rush for Justin Fields' time to throw, if it's Fields, is it going to be Fields? I don't even remember if it's Tyrod or Fields. But if it is Fields, it'd be hilarious because his time to throw versus their anemic pass rush will be stoppable force and movable object kind of cinema. But what the Steelers figured, they looked at Aaron Rodgers and they're like, okay, you can't extend plays like you used to. You don't really throw the ball deep accurately anymore. But what you still can do at an elite level is you can recognize what the defense is doing and you can leverage alignment and you can get that ball out of your hand lightning quick and still be accurate in the short game. And you look at Aaron Rodgers like passing charts and it's all like right around the line of scrimmage and people post it and they're like, oh, you're not really doing anything. And it's like, yeah, all right, man, we can say that. But the point is they're scoring points. It's working for them. Who gives a shit if it's like ethical or if it's like you're getting all this yak? It's like, whatever, man. If it was that easy, then why don't the Jets do it? If it was that easy, then why didn't the Jets do it with Aaron Rodgers? And now they wouldn't have won the Super Bowl, but they could have at least not had a bottom five offense because the Jets are always at a strategic and preparation disadvantage on offense. Like they can't just step back. They can never step back and just look at what the fuck is going on. The Jets can never do that. The Jets can never just take a step back and just look at what the fuck is happening. Speaking of that, what is happening with my camera? Don't do that. They're still doing it. It's like following me. No, it's probably making you guys nauseous. That's doing that. You know what I mean? Like they're just okay. This is our offense. This is what we run. 3rd and 8. Okay, this is the play call on 3rd and 8. Like they can't see the forest through the trees. Like they were on the Aaron Rodgers Achilles injury and how that can, and just his decline towards being 40, how that radically changed him as a passer. And you saw it in 2022. Like he wasn't the same. You're like, oh, this is not the same player. And then injury. And then in 2023, the beginning of the year, like, oh, you couldn't figure out what he still could do well to give you a fighting chance. They couldn't do that. With Zach Wilson, now Zach Wilson, I don't think he was going to be very good anyway. But they never leaned into anything that was his strengths. And anytime he showed any like positives, like that one Kansas City game where he's just ripping it up the seam to like Ruckert and Conklin, and they're like, okay, that was cool. We're never calling that again. Just go away from it. And with Fields, they don't like, where's the QB counter? Where's the QB power that Pittsburgh ran all the time? Where's the screen game and flat game that Pittsburgh ran all the time? Where's the vertical boundary shots that mitigate his slower processing time and steal chunks of yards? Where's a trick play? You had to wait until the dude you paid $30 million and you were saying is going to be a breakout. You had to wait until the backup came in and then you run the trick play to get the supposedly free touchdown. You can't draw that up for your starter who's struggling with confidence. Like what the F? Like, and I mean, like they always do this, man. They are just such a quarterback unfriendly organization. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Now, thankfully, with Fields, we have a big sample size. Like the Jets didn't ruin him, so I'm not losing sleep over it, right? Because if the Jets drafted Fields, and like say he Fields as a rookie, we'd be like, oh my gosh, now we don't need to worry about that because it is what it is. He's a backup at this point, but still. Still, man. Oligarchy. Yeah, the team never leverages their player strengths. I completely agree with you. And this is obviously goes way beyond the 7 games of Aaron Glenn. Of course, these have been organizational issues. Our team is not bereft of talent. I mean, I think they're definitely comfortably in like the bottom half of the league, though, or like towards the bottom third. Are they the worst roster in the NFL? No, but they're it's hard too because when you're not at an advantage with coaching or quarterback, it just makes everybody else in your team look worse. But with that being said, they're not a talented team. I wouldn't call them a talented roster. Obviously, they have some talent. Yeah, I don't think they should be 0-7. Nobody predicted 0-7 in a positive way. Some people did because they were saying they didn't like the hires and they thought Fields is trash, and that's fine. I have no rebuttal to you at this point until we win a game. But you can't say like, oh, no one was predicting 0-7, and that was also going to be fine. Not one person said that. People are saying that now retroactively, but not one person said they're going to go 0-7, be 0-8 at the bye, and it's actually going to be good and part of the plan. Now, maybe the end result is the number 1 pick, and that's fine. Okay, maybe you got something out of it, but I don't think that was the plan. Armand Membu was the right choice. Yeah, there was a couple right choices. So I think to me, I was like Membu, T-Mac, or Warren were my top guys in my power rankings. I think it was Membu 1, T-Mac 2, Warren 3. I definitely underrated Warren a bit. He looks incredible. But Membu is good. Membu's a good. And when people say like, "Oh well, yeah, great. Now we have no weapon. Should have taken T-Mac. Should have taken Warren." It's like, bro, uh, the Jets having it's as if one pick determines that. As if one pick determines like they haven't drafted a mid-round capable receiver since like the Great Depression. Membu is good. Who gives a shit? You file it under a good pick and you move on with your day. This team cannot. And drafting mid-round pass catchers is way easier than mid-round tackles. Teams do it all the time. We had that inverted in the offseason when we were like, every team drafts a 5th round starting right tackle who's great. No, they don't. All good tackles go in rounds 1 and 2, right or left. It is the highest correlation of how high you're drafted to how well you do besides quarterback is tackle. Because think about the thresholds. You have to be at least 6'4". You have to be at least 310 pounds with at least whatever it is, 32-inch arms, with however you want to quantify it, a certain amount of like agility and power. There's only so many of those freaking humans on the planet. Where like a wide receiver, you could be like Tez Johnson, who's tiny and ran like a 4.5 something and can play. You could be Tank Dell, right? But you're never going to see we found this 5'10 and a half, 262 pound mauling right tackle. Doesn't exist. That's why there's that correlation of draft capital to success, because there's just God only makes so many of those dudes. Even edge rusher, like you can have an Hassan Reddick, like a 6 foot, 200 whatever he is, 35. Like Hassan Reddick, if you saw Hassan Reddick, you didn't know he was a professional football player, you'd be like, oh, that guy definitely like works out. That's like a big dude, like a big athletic dude. But it wouldn't be like you see Tyron Smith in public and you're like, oh, that's a different form of life. That's a different life form. Right. So that's kind of how that goes. But yeah, man, you want to put Tyler Warren on this team and take away Membu and put in Willie McSmitters at right tackle, we would be just as 0-7. We would be just as 0-7. Yeah, it would, dude. Like if you, I mean, it's crazy the size of those guys. Like I met Willie Colon. The guy's neck. It's like this. Shook his hand. It was like my hand went into like a baseball mitt. And I'm like a regular sized guy. They're just different. Asa Pole, I forgot he was on the team, to be honest. Yeah, Woody Johnson is the poster child for tax the rich. He should be taxed. Like Woody Johnson should be full Bernie Sanders. He should be Bernie Sanders-ized as a verb. Just him. We'll start with him. Like, listen, Bernie, I know you didn't win. But whatever you want, you can implement all. He can implement all of his plans, but only on Woody Johnson, and then we'll see how it goes. And then maybe it could go to another person, and from there. But it should start with Woody. All of his money should be redistributed. I'm a full-blown communist when it comes to just Woody Johnson. I think that's fair. I think this is fair. Oh, he earned his money, man. He inherited his money from his dad's corporation, and then he puts it in a a fund that like a bunch of little lines go up on a computer and he spits a little bit of the numbers in there and then more numbers come back. And after 30 years, he has 10 times as many numbers. And that's the market, bro. It should be taken just from him, just guys, just from him, not from you, not from you. You earn your money. It's fine. We're not coming after you, but we will be coming after Woody Johnson and his fake money. And we will be giving it, I don't know, to like Nick Shine. We'll give it to Nick Shine. He'll do something good with it. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Nationalize the Jets. Yeah, I when it comes to Woody Johnson, all of his money should be taken. Most of it. Yeah, I don't know. People always said like it doesn't matter with this team unless they sell it, and I always thought like, nah, man, you just got to get the right hire. We just got to get the right quarterback. We've been a little bit unlucky. Like it's just an owner. All he does is write the checks. But it's hard to start to deny that, like that he is just. It's going to be so challenging for this team to do much with him owning it. Like they're going to just have. It's going to have to be by luck. Right, like kind of by luck, maybe he just falls ass backwards into something that's works out. Brick will fix it all. Who controls more, Woody Johnson or Jerry Jones? I mean, I probably Jerry, because Jerry is definitely much more involved with his roster, I think. Aside from the top three, what staff changes would you make to the coaching staff? I think if they're going to draft a quarterback, which they probably are, I really think they should try and find a quarterback coach with a little bit of a better resume than our quarterback coach. Now, again, I know you're not going to get some great guru who's going to want to be an assistant. Also, like there's no salary cap for that, so you could make it, worth their while there. That's a spot I'm looking at, is the QB coach. Brick by brick. Super chat from Island. Appreciate it, man. Sorry I got here late, but what aren't you tired of seeing Jets defensive players kicking ass on other teams? Leonard Williams, stop the madness. Yeah, Leonard Williams has had a very nice career for Seattle. I kind of forget about him, but good for him. I mean, I know Frankie Louvu, even Blake Cashman had a moment. JFM. Yeah. I don't know, man. That's why I don't want to trade Jermaine or Will. I feel like Will McDonald, especially because Jermaine, I think we kind of see what he is. Like you kind of have the full picture of him. He's just a well-rounded, really solid edge player who does a lot of things that don't show up on like normal counting stats that help contribute to the winning of your team. Sure. Will has not been good this year. There's no other way around it. I just have a feeling if he went to a good team that got to play in some more downhill scripts, that he could really turn on the juice as a pass rusher and bring a lot of value. Like you look at Bryce Huff going back with Saleh, and he gets like 4 sacks in 6 games, including 2 strip sacks. And it's like, that's incredibly valuable, even though Bryce Huff sucks against the run. So I don't know. Bryce, yeah, but the thing about Bryce Huff is I don't like JFM. I missed for a few years because JFM is so scheme independent. He could be an odd front end. He could be an even front edge. He could play all across the defensive line. Besides, like your one tech, he could play 2 through 9, right? Um, but Huff needs to play with Robert Saleh to be functional, right? So once Saleh isn't your coach, you have no value for Huff. But that was what was so mind numbing during that whole discourse when they swapped Huff for Reddick, and I hated it. Is because it's like, oh well, Huff only works in Saleh's scheme, and it's like, yeah, but Saleh's the effing coach. This is so key. If a guy is like a system merchant, that's fine if he's going to stay in your system. What you don't want is to sign a system merchant from a different team, which is what Philly found out. And then he goes to Philly and everyone's like, see, Joe Douglas cooked as Hassan Reddick is holding out and you're missing on a 3rd-round pick for no reason. And then Bryce Huff goes back to Saleh and he's got 4 sacks in like a third of a season. And it's like, yeah, that's how that goes. Doesn't make any sense. And then we spent a 1st-round pick to replace Bryce Huff, I guess. Although obviously they thought Will McDonald could develop into a 3-down player. Hasn't quite gone as planned, unfortunately. I should be on part of the 33rd team. Oh, man. You think we could beat Cincinnati? I think that's going to be a tough matchup. I think they could beat Cleveland, to be honest, because Cleveland's offense is so putrid. But I think Cincinnati can score points, and without Sauce, they're going to be able to score quite a bit of points. Sauce has a concussion, and without Garrett, whoever starts at quarterback, I don't think we're going to be able to keep up with them. It could happen. Of course, it could happen. The Jets were a pass away from beating the Broncos, and I thought that was an even tougher matchup. So we'll see. But I think you got what? You got Cincy, Cleveland, Patriots. Your next 3 games, I think you're probably going to be 1-9, or 1-9. 0-10 is more likely than 2-8, but I will split the difference and say 1-9. Has Becton been bad? I haven't really followed that. I know he was pretty good on the Eagles, but I haven't seen what's going on with the Chargers. Let's get a group together for Jets, Buffalo in Buffalo. Maybe. I'm bad at like planning that stuff out in advance. Like if I go to a game, it's usually last minute, but maybe I'll go to that game. I mean, what's the worst that happens? Like, are we going to be playing the Bills backups? It could be kind of fun. Low stakes, right? But I'll leave it there. I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you want to hit the thumbs up on your way out, that'd be cool.